face battles most never fought, pain, struggle, adversity. But here, we use that as fuel. This is the Battle Harder podcast, where we motivate, educate, and inspire warriors of life, veterans, survivors, leaders. We share stories and strategies to turn pain into progress. Here's your host, Coach Rob. Let's lock in and battle harder.
What is up, everybody? It's your host, Coach Rob, here at the Battle Harder podcast, where I hope to motivate, educate, and inspire you to become the best version of yourself. Today's episode is going to be a great conversation. As you know, that veterans, military, law enforcement, first responders are near and dear to my heart. He's my first actual active duty member that we're having on the show. So I'm going to look forward to getting to some of the things that he's currently getting into with that Semper Fi do or die Marine Corps. I'd like to welcome to the show Marine Corps Officer Lou. Welcome to the Battle Harder podcast.
Hoorah. Thank you so much, Rob. I really appreciate everything you're doing. I respect your platform and I commend you for everything you're doing.
I appreciate that. And I love the background, but I got to ask you, man, like I ask all my Marine brothers, where is the Crayola crayons, brother?
I actually took them out to put up there for my display. Then I ate them. I got a little hungry while I was waiting. So it is what it is. You got to eat those crayons, keep you strong.
What do you know the history of that? Because like I've always known the running joke being a Navy man myself, but I actually don't understand the history of it. Is just because we consider Marines kind of not as smart as the rest of the branches?
Honestly, I don't know the history of it. I know they call Marines jarheads. Although I take that as a term of endearment. But yeah, I've never personally eaten anything that's not Crayola flavored. So I definitely appreciate it. I have no idea what the background is, though.
Before we get into the conversation, just give everybody a little background of who you are and what you do. And for the public in my community, since I can't pronounce it, once again, give us your name and your proper form, please.
Absolutely. So my name is Olalu Ogunyemi. Most people call me Lou. I'm a major in the United States Marine Corps. I am an author of the books you see behind me. My award-winning book is called Crow from the Shadow. It's a children's book. Billy Dipper's Time to Shine, and then Horse the Horsefly. I'm a husband. I have 3 wonderful children, a 15-year-old, 11-year-old, and a 6-year-old. The boys in the middle and the others are 2 girls. And I have a puppy that makes me look really tough. It's a beach poo. So if you've never heard of it, it's a Bichon Frise mixed with a miniature poodle. I don't know how I got it, but I have it now. I graduated from Grambling State University with a degree in computer information systems. And then from there, I commissioned as the second lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps. And the rest is history. I've had an absolute blast. I've met some phenomenal people, to include some of my sailor counterparts and friends. They're okay. But I've met some phenomenal people and had some opportunities to see some great things. So I've been blessed to have the opportunity to serve in the Marine Corps. And I also have been blessed to have the opportunity to serve through my Parent Child Connect brand, which is where these book series comes from. And I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit later. But that's a lot about me.
So, man, like I got to ask, so, you don't seem like the traditional, jarhead Marines that are brainwashed, Semper Fi till I die, hoorah, combat, combat, combat. I mean, you're basically writing children's books, which I haven't ever heard of a Marine doing anything like that. So, take us a little bit through your entry into boot camp. And I know from my experience that Marine Corps boot camp is one of the tougher boot camps to go through because you have to really earn that Eagle, Globe, and Anchor, where the other boot camps you kind of just shuffle through and do what you got to do. But give us a little background of what it was like, kind of what was your decision to go into the military? And then how many years have you been in and what that kind of looked like?
Absolutely. So I made a decision to join the Marine Corps when I was a sophomore in college in 2010. And I was going 0331 for the same thing you mentioned, as Hoorah Marine Corps. I really wanted to go in and I just wanted to get some. I saw a lot of people, my heroes on TV, because I didn't know any Marines personally, but on TV, I see all these people doing these heroic things, whether it be in the Marine Corps, Army, Navy, Air Force, didn't matter. There's so much going on over that at the time, 9 years had happened. And I'm just like, man, I got to get in when I get my chance. But I was actually discouraged from it. I was the salutatorian in my class, and I was discouraged from joining the Marine Corps, the military in general. In fact, many people told me it should be viewed as a last resort. But I'm a guy who never was really that obedient. My parents will tell you that. And I decided to rebel against that and join the Marine Corps anyway. And I hit up the recruiter, and the rest is history. He really put me in the program. He taught me everything about the Marine Corps that he could teach me. And then when I was supposed to be going to Parris Island, an OSO snatched me up, an officer selection officer snatched me up out of Baton Rouge, and then sent me to OCS that summer, which is Officer Candidate School. Now, I experienced my first Marine Corps failure in that summer because I almost failed out of Officer Candidate School. And ironically, it was because of academics. Believe it or not, for some reason, I just could not get the Marine Corps test. I grew up doing very well in school. I didn't have any problems. Did okay on the ACT. Got academic scholarships, so I felt like I was good. But for whatever reason, I couldn't figure out those academics at OCS. And I actually went before a company board. And that was one of the things that I realized first time I experienced failure in my adult life. And it wasn't just like your normal like private failure where it's like, dang, I messed it up. This was one that everybody had already celebrated me leaving. People told me it's a bad idea. And I've already made this big thing about, I don't care if people say, I'm going to go anyway. So now the church is praying for me. We got all these people back home in my small town of Ruston, Louisiana, who are supporting me. And here I am writing my dad a letter telling him, hey, I may not make it. I'm going before a company board because I have too many failures. So that it was actually a very interesting thing because I joined. When I decided to join, I started getting up at 5 a.m. I started working out every morning. And I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to be the one falling out physically. But one thing I didn't prepare for is the academics. I had no idea. I legitimately didn't know. Like, for example, I remember in our first inspection, they said, who's the sergeant major of the Marine Corps? And I'm trying to listen to everybody's response. But I remember thinking, like, I didn't even know you could be a sergeant and a major at the same time. Man, dude, I was so lost, Rob. I was like, it was crazy. But anyway, fast forward, I finished that. And then I went back to school, finished my degree and commissioned in 2012. And then I went active duty from there. There was a brief period that I worked as a computer programmer at Tyson Foods. And then went straight to Virginia, actually where I am now in Stafford, Virginia, and started my training as a second lieutenant.
So, most people, like you said, don't just after already being in college say, I'm going to go into the military. And you reference, noticing heroes or people that you looked up to. Was there something in your childhood or something that your parents gave you? Like, what was the mindset behind you telling yourself, hey, I need to do this, to the point that you dove kind of head in first to the Marine Corps, and not alone being just a Marine, but even going the officer route, which that is, seems a little bit harder to me than just being straight active duty. So like, what was your thought process for that? Was it like you were trying to get out of your small town? You wanted to see the world? Was there any more into the reason why you joined?
Yeah, so my parents always instilled in us to challenge ourselves to be better, because I did have Army mentors. In fact, one of my greatest mentors, he passed away now, he's a Vietnam veteran. He's my uncle. Fought in Vietnam. He's an Army veteran. He really took time out. He was out of his mind, but he took time out to mentor and guide and spend time. Things from like learning to tie a tie, cut grass, things of that nature. But my parents invested a lot of time in us, telling us that we can be whatever we put our minds to. We just have to go pursue it. So when I decided, I sat there in my room. I was actually sitting by myself, watching TV. I think I was watching basketball or something. A Marine Corps commercial comes on, and I'm like, what is even stopping me? Right now, this is something I want to do, and I'm allowing people's ideas of what's best for my life to persuade or dissuade me from doing something I want to do. And as soon as I said that aloud to myself, I immediately went on Facebook, where Sergeant Nash, who was my recruiter at the time, now he's out of the Marine Corps, he was waiting for me. It was like, as soon as I hit him up, he was like, yep, come see me in the office tomorrow. And that's exactly what I did. I went to the office, and honestly, he probably would have had a little bit more. He could have drug it out a little bit more. But one thing he said to me that stuck out, and he hooked me when he said, if we select you, then blah, dot, dot, dot. I don't even know what else he said after that. But I was like, I don't think he knows who I am, man. There's no way you're going to come tell me if you select me. I'm coming to join your organization, and I'm taking over from my perspective. I'm taking over my life, and I'm joining your organization, was the message I was trying to convey. And that's the confidence that my parents instilled in me over time, because I didn't grow up like that. I actually grew up pretty self-conscious and insecure and so on and so forth. But they really spent a lot of time investing in me to make me a better man.
And, we talked a little bit during the interview about you growing up and stuff and where you grew up in Louisiana. What kind of adversities or things did you face that, essentially going into college and then going to Marine Corps, you're like, man, I need to really do this for myself based on everything. It seems like you were pretty much battle tested from the time growing up until the time you went into the Marine Corps. Besides the people saying you don't go, did you ever have people in your life just telling you you can't do this or you can't be something or you can't achieve what you wanted to?
Yeah, absolutely. And mainly because of the crowd I was hanging with, because I wanted to fit in. That's the gist of everything. I just wanted to fit in. I was tired of getting made fun of. I was the fifth of six children. And honestly, I didn't like my little brother until he was probably 3 or 4 years old, because I was like the protected class as the baby. And then all of a sudden, when he came around, I now was like, for all intents and purposes, like the bastard child. So then I was like, okay, well, now I got to fend for myself, at least what I felt like. And I know my family would probably beat me up for saying this, but I felt like I had to fend for myself in some ways, in some aspects, being made fun of because of my name, because I was overweight as a kid, so on and so forth. And then so in order for me to try to fit in, I was just acting out. And it was the crowd I was running with. I would watch some of these guys get put in the back of the room, and the teacher would just keep teaching, ignoring them. But for me, they eventually would come back and say, listen, man, I will call your dad up here and we know what's going to happen if he walks in here. And my dad would mess me up. Straight up. He would have come into school. He would have messed me up if the teachers kept calling him. But it just wasn't a thing for them to allow me to slip and be back in the back of the classroom and fall back into that. And I'm grateful for them and I'm grateful for the community. But to your question, one of the reasons that I wanted to join the Marine Corps is to set an example for the young men who were put in the back of the classroom. And I won't share the name, but I have a good friend that dropped out right after 8th grade. We did everything together, ate, slept, drank together. But he's been in and out of the penitentiary since we were in 7th, 8th grade. And he's still in there today. And it's those kind of things that remind me that these young men, sometimes the community has just given up on them. And it's not just young men and women. The community's given up on them. They put them back in the back of the proverbial classroom, and they don't have a Dr. Olatunde Ogunyemi, which is my dad, who will come up to the school and mess them up. Unfortunately, sometimes their father's not even in the picture, and their mother's working 2-3 jobs just trying to keep the lights on. And so the only people that are raising them are the streets. And so for me, joining the Marine Corps was more than just about joining for myself, but it was trying to provide a proof source from my hometown to say, hey, man, there's more to life than what you see right here in the small town of Ruston, Grambling, Simsboro, Louisiana, where we grew up. And really that extends across a lot of the areas in Louisiana, because there's just a lot of things and a lot of people out there that just need to see a better example.
So how, beings that like this happened and you're one of the few that decided like, hey, my life's better than this. It's worth more than this, especially for young men that don't have fathers. I'm a father myself. I have 3 kids and it's like one of the greatest gifts, God could have gave me. For the ones that don't have fathers and they're kind of getting like washed away by the system, what can we do to improve their lives or make them see that, hey, you have a choice in your life and ultimately it's your decision if you want to be successful or if you just want to go by the wayside?
Yeah, the best example I can give is a teacher that I have by the name of Miss Arthur. And what she did is she didn't allow the person to just act out. Because most times what I recognize is a lot of my buddies were acting out, not just because they were just so mischievous or they were evil or something like that. A lot of times they just didn't understand the work. And because they had acted out, they fell behind. And because people just sort of pushed them to the side, didn't worry about them, they fell so far behind, they just didn't care anymore. It didn't matter to them. But one teacher I had, Miss Arthur, she invested time and she called us all by Mr. or Mrs. And if we're acting up, she said, Mr. Ogunyemi, come back to the front, come sit down right here, and you're going to do this work. And I'll never forget my buddy, the same one I was just talking about, got a C in the class. And it was something that was odd that I'd never seen before. I've seen him take pride in, some of the things that we're doing. We all have that swag about us that hey, I did this, I did all these things that we do for the notch on our belt. But the pride he took in that C that she gave him, which was the first like positive grade that he had gotten, and only God knows how long. It was crazy to see. And when I look back at that moment and look back at how she did that, It's because she took time to invest with him. So she saw him, she recognized him, she talked to him like he was a human being instead of just some mischievous person. Because I can assure you, I've heard it for myself. I heard people tell him and them in general that they're going to be in jail. They're going to be just like their dad and things like that. I've heard them say that. So I know people were saying that when I wasn't around as well. So to have somebody come back and reaffirm that, hey, man, you're more than just that. Hey, and sit down with them. That's why I created these books, to sit down with children, read with them, enjoy a moment with them, create memorable experiences, play video games with them, whatever you need to do. Sometimes you see them at football practice. Like my son plays football. My daughter's in band and one of them's in dance. And sometimes you just have to look out for those children that are sort of standing to themselves. There's usually a story that's happening there, and you can almost pick them out of the crowd because sometimes they're isolating themselves because they just don't have that family support, and sometimes they're jealous of it, or maybe not. I won't say jealous of it, but they're longing for that family support that they never get. So I would say for us, long way of answering a short question, is that we should actively seek out those who need that mentorship and just give them some time, give them the affirmation that we see them, and do our best to at least try to be there for them in a consistent manner.
I love that. And guys, we're going to take a short commercial break. When we get back, we're going to talk more about the Marine Corps, some of the challenges he's faced, his book as a children's author, and fitness and everything else in between. So we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
They told you to stay comfortable. You chose the battle. Battle Fitted is for the few who live by discipline in the gym, in the mirror, and in the mind. This isn't just fitness, it's transformation. From our coaching and mindset resources to apparel that speaks without saying a word, to keynotes that shake rooms awake, we train warriors, not followers. No fluff, no shortcuts, just real work, real change. If you're tired of talking about it, prove it. Lock in your first workout, grab your gear, book the mission at battlefittedbrand.com.
And we're back. And what I want to know, Lou, like for me, I know when I was active duty, some of the challenges I faced, especially as being a husband and a father, was on deployments. I missed everything. I mean, birthdays, holidays, anniversaries. I remember one deployment when my wife was like 6 months pregnant with my first child. Like, it was hard. So what are some of the major challenges you faced in the Marine Corps and as a Marine Corps officer?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start with giving credit to the families. Very resilient bunch of people, military families. I've seen a lot of things happen. For example, when I was gone, I don't think there's ever been a time where I've been gone where something did not happen in my house. This last time I was gone, for example, while I was on the MU deployment, my house got struck by lightning. What are the odds? I don't know, but it happened. All the electronics got knocked out and so on and so forth. And that's just something that the family had to go through. And yes, you're right. Missed birthdays, missed anniversaries. I mean, a wife going through pregnancies alone. These are things that are just part of the military lifestyle that I believe that a lot of us have to find ourselves finding a way to make best of the situation or the time we do have. To flip the question a little bit, I think for us too, as service members, active duty, sometimes we have to look at ourselves as well, because there's been times, and I've talked to other people out there, there's been times that we all have felt like we don't know our place when we get back. You leave for so long, whether it be 6 months, 9 months, or a year in some cases, or you're constantly in and out. It's almost like your family in a way replaces you. And sometimes I think that can be discouraging. Sometimes it can make you feel getting your feelings a little bit. But in reality, I think number one, you just communicate that with your family. Let them know that, hey, I know you're not replacing me, but I just want to be a part of it. And at the same time, understand that life still goes on while you're out doing your thing. Your family's still there having their own battle rhythm. And so find a way to fall back into that community that they've created without coming and try to make major shifts. That's really been the challenge for me each time I've had to go away for a while. is finding my way back into the family's dynamics and battle rhythm and things of that nature. And then secondly, of course, more importantly, making the best out of all the time you do have. So like I said, I'll take my kids everywhere I can. If they're staying up too late, I don't tuck them in because I go to I love going to bed at about 9. But I love tucking them in at nighttime when I'm here. I love locking the doors, give them a kiss on their foreheads, all those kind of things, because I want to make sure that I make the time that I do have with them count.
So, and that's awesome. And, for me as a father too, it was kind of the same thing as far as breaking that generational curse. Like for me growing up, my father wasn't a big proponent of saying I love you or really like tucking me in or reading me stories. So I knew when I became a father, I wanted to change and break that and kind of always be there for my kids. And even now with my daughter being 26 and my middle son being 24, they know I'm always there for them at a drop of a hat. I mean, my daughter's currently getting ready to get married and she's asking me about financial advice between her and her new husband and how to navigate bills in the world and everything. So it's a beautiful thing. What are some things that you're doing as far as a father to bring value to your children and be a leader to your wife and a man in a household where we know that military families, first responder families, these families have the highest divorce rates due to the things we go through, the things we deal with. What are some things that you do for yourself to navigate those difficult things and have a beautiful relationship?
Absolutely. So first of all, and I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I believe open communication is still key. A lot of times, I think we've gotten away from it in some ways, but being open and honest is key. But with the caveat of we have to make sure we keep the boxing gloves on. My wife and I use that analogy all the time. It's like, hey, if we're in a boxing match, we can debate all day, we could spar, we could throw a couple of punches here and there, but the second you take the gloves off, the second you hit below the belt, now you've made this into a personal thing, and we're no longer working to grow each other or working to get the best out of each other. Now we're turned against each other, and I think that's the first thing with my wife is that we want to view this as a team effort. Everything that we do, yes, my name is printed all on these books, but if you look at any articles or anything I've talked about the books, I always say we, and sometimes she gets tired of me saying we, but the reason I do it is because I want her to understand that it's truly a team. For my children, I lead each of them differently. What works for my 15-year-old girl is not going to work for the 11-year-old boy, and same for the 6-year-old girl. But I did establish a personal relationship with each of them, and I try to have dedicated time with each of them doing something that they enjoy. So for the teenager, as you've now gone through that phase, sometimes it's just sitting down and talking. I knew more 8th grade and 9th grade drama than probably most dads out there. Not that I'm proud to admit that. I had no idea who the kids are or what their parents think about them, but at least I knew more about their drama going on just because that was our time. We called it our tea time, which I thought was hilarious. I would just sit down and she'll just give me the tea. Even when I was on deployment, the times that we had to talk, I told her, hey, what's the tea? And we'll just run down and talk about it. For my son, I love what you talked about. So what I started doing, I actually watched this video. One of my drill instructors gave to me, actually. It's called Mask We Wear. It's a documentary, but it's about how we as society have placed these unreasonable burdens on young men, is really under the guise of masculinity. And some of the things that I've been trying to make sure that I do better, just to make sure that I'm removing all those stigmas that come with what it means to be masculine, what it means to be strong. And so that's one thing I do with my son. I try my best to, we're going to wrestle. When he had his football practice canceled because of a heat wave that went through yesterday, we went outside and we practiced together. But at the same time, I still do the same thing that you're referring to. And I sit down and say, I love you. I give him hugs. I pinch his cheeks just because I think that's hilarious and embarrasses him. But it's just spending time. And then the same thing with the 6-year-old. It's really about, to me, investing quality time and creating teachable and memorable experiences.
Yeah, I think especially because my youngest son, he's 13, and communication is definitely key. And like for me, in this society, he's a big gamer, and I've been playing games all my life. So we'll play games for hours at a time, and I'll ask him how school's going. And it's always trying to get deep with him. It's never like, oh, how's school going? It's good. No, like, what did you do? What are you learning? Who are your friends? what song are you learning in band? Trying to, and I really like what you said. Like, I have what I can consider an old fashioned way of thinking as far as opening a door for my wife and telling her I love her and holding her hand and, showing affection in front of my kids and telling my kids I love them. And I think the point of masculinity is being able to tell our kids and our wives and our partners, like, hey, I love you. If you're not okay, saying, hey, I'm not okay. And just having that open communication, because at the same time, you can be strong, you can be physically fit, you can be a leader, you can, have that control of how you manage everything in your household. So the woman and your children are both, or your partner's like, man, this person's got it and they're, in top shape. So what kind of things, because I mean, even as an officer and the things you're probably doing, I'm sure the core, being a parent, being a father, is stressful. And I'm assuming you're going to say fitness is one of them, because we know the core's got to be in tip top shape all day, every day. But what are some things that you do to take care of yourself? Like, is it fitness? Is it making sure you eat healthy? Is it personal development work? Like, what are the things that work for you?
Yeah. So what I do is every day I try to have the same habits, literally every single day of the week, to focus first thing in the morning on my spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical health. So I get up at 4 in the morning. I do that so early because I'm trying to get in a time that everybody's still asleep. It's quiet. It's not really that much traffic out there. Not many distractions. And the first thing I do is I wake up and I meditate, pray, and do my devotion. That's my first thing I do to connect spiritually, because I'm a Christian, to connect spiritually with God. And I recommend that people do whatever you do for spiritual health. I recommend the first thing you do is to find a way to connect with whoever or whatever that is, that bigger calling and a bigger purpose. So that way you can have that inner peace. The meditation also helps out with the emotional and mental aspect, because it gives me an opportunity to just decompress, no matter what yesterday had or what today what tests may come today. I have the ability now to focus my mind and think clearly about how I'm going to progress throughout the day. Then, of course, yes, I do go to the gym, which happens to be my favorite part of the day. And I do about 50 minutes of lifting, followed by 30 minutes of cardio. And then after that, I read or listen to about 30 minutes of an audiobook, or I read for about 30 minutes. The reason I do all of that first thing in the morning is the idea is that I have my 4 key areas, like I said, physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional. I start off the day strong in those 4 key areas, and really sets the tone and the foundation for a great day. Because I heard a guy say the other day, I used to say, today's a beautiful day. I'll tell people that all the time. It's going to be a great day, because I'm going to make it a great day. But I heard an older gentleman, I'm pretty sure he's a retired gentleman, in the gym the other day. We gave a regular greeting. Hey, good morning. How are you? I said, it's a beautiful day. It's going to be a great day. He said, man, today is the best day of my life, and it's your best day of your life too. And that really resonated with me, because I thought about it. I was like, man, this guy doesn't know me. But what he's saying to me is I have the ability to make this the best day of my life. And that's what I think that for me personally is establishing the habits that's establish a firm foundation from which I can build throughout the day and make it the best day of my life.
And I love that. And I agree with everything you say. For me, I was very negative all the time. And with the PTSD, mental health issues I had from the military and childhood trauma and stuff, I always operated in the dark. But the one constant was that I had the gym. So being physically fit and taking my mental, emotional stress out on a workout first thing in the morning helped. But then 2, for me, it was practicing gratitude. It was being able to go to bed every night and say, hey, I'm thankful, and realize that as I tell these stories, that there's a lot of people out there that have things worse than me. And you have to remember that no matter what stage you are at life, there's at least one person that's doing worse than you. So, why are you going to bitch and complain about that and not be thankful for, if you have a roof over your head, food in the stomach? Hey, I may not be eating T-bone steaks every night, but I can go to a fridge right now and I realize that it's not empty and that there's food in the house. And just having those basic needs are very important. And then, like you said, saying it's a beautiful day. For me, the funny thing that got me out of being negative all the time is I would just wake up and say it's going to be a good day. Now, initially with the mental health issues, I'd have to say it like 100 times, 1,000 times a day. It's going to be the day. It's going to be the day. But to the point now where I'm so much able to deal with things that I don't even want to say bad, but when things happen, someone cuts me off, or maybe a waitress gets my order wrong, or something that would old Rob would set him off and make me angry, doesn't really phase me anymore. And it's a beautiful thing to be at peace. And I love that, for me, sleep's been an issue, but I definitely want to go back to getting up a lot earlier because I prefer to be in the gym when nobody's there as well and not have to fight traffic. But that's amazing, man. And that's a great thing. So with everything you got going on, what was the inspiration for the children's books? What was your first book? And kind of give us a deep dive into all of that and how this became a thing.
Absolutely. So it ties right back into what we were talking about earlier. Is providing a resource for parents, teachers, mentors, and caregivers to sit down with children and create teachable and memorable experiences. So I did that for myself because, there's times like you're talking about being in the dark. Sometimes as a parent, especially because I started at a very young age, the little known fact about me is when I graduated college at the age of 22, I was married with a 3-year-old. So I don't know if I could have been any more lost than anybody else. But the way I started thinking about it is like, okay, I have to find ways to create these moments with my children. So it started off, as my mom did with us, sitting down and reading with and enjoying a moment with the children, just because I felt like, and I know that books have a specific way of like engaging the mind. And when you're engaging the mind and you're all having a conversation, it's just a beautiful thing. So I created my first book. It's called Crow from the Shadow. The idea of that book was just to say, no matter who you are, where you're from, no matter what people are saying about you, whatever the shadow is for you, that external influence that's telling you cannot do something, you can determine your own future. You can determine your own destiny. That's the gist of the entire book. What you see in all my books is that what we do is we create the book itself. But more importantly, we have questions in the back of the book. It's called Continue the Conversation Questions. And what those allow you to do now is to have more discussion with your child. Because again, for me, and I have 2 books. The first one is called Crow from the Shadow. The other is called Billy Dipper's Time to Shine. Horse the Horsefly is more for my younger readers, ages 2 to 5. But for any of the books, what I realize is that the questions are just a template. That's just something to say that I don't know where to go from here or how I can bring this message home for my child. So I provided some questions that you can use to ask the child and so you can have a discussion. But for anybody, you just let the book take you where it needs to take you. Billy Dipper's Time to Shine, which is the book in the middle, that's the book talking about how this is a bully. It's a bully star. Was telling this other star who was shining bright. Otherwise, he knew he's a valuable star, but he's telling him that he's not special. He made fun of him and so on and so forth. And what he was trying to convey, and what I'm trying to convey through that book, is that nobody can dim your light. Don't allow anybody to validate who you are. You have to learn to validate yourself. And these are the things that the message that we're trying to convey. And of course, because it mentions bullying, the idea behind that is now the parents have an opportunity in a book that doesn't necessarily, it's not a bullying book, which is one of the critiques I got for some early reviews, which was fine with me. But it wasn't designed to be a bullying book. The bully was just an antagonist to bring out the story. And really the story is for people to understand that these external validations, all these things don't really matter. And then lastly, I have Horse the Horsefly. That book is literally just a book where you're making animal sounds, it's sight words. Again, it's for that younger group, but it still has that same value of sitting down with the child and reading and enjoying something. Honestly, that's the only book that wasn't illustrated by my brother, Joshua, and my 6-year-old. At the time, she was 3. She used to remind me of that all the time. It's supposed to be a horsefly, but it looks more like an ant. And she made sure to remind me that it's not an ant, or it's not a horsefly. It's either a mosquito or an ant. And because she thought mosquito sounded funnier, she called it the mosquito book. But really, that's the gist of the children's book series. It was to present something for parents, teachers, mentors, and caregivers to have those one-on-one conversations or classroom conversations with their children. And you'll be surprised. I read to a 6th grade class one time, which was a little bit different for me. So what I did, because it was a rhyming book, I really didn't necessarily read it to them as much as I talked about the creative process. But when we got to the discussion questions, man, those 6th graders were blowing my mind. I had to sit back for a second and say, oh, man. And I looked over at the teacher to make sure the teacher's paying attention, because there were some things that were coming out in just that interaction with me as a person they had never met before that needed to be worked out with a counselor. And they were so open and ready to talk about it. And that goes back to what we were talking about before. Sometimes these children are looking for the guidance and they're looking for somebody to help them through things. We just have to be there to do it for them.
And where can these books be found? And how does that feel? Like, I know for me as a creator, because like my clothing line, the podcast, everything I do, I created that. So how does that feel as a creator to have this physical manifestation in these books and be able to hold them and look at the pictures and say, man, I created this?
Yeah, at first it was scary. I wasn't, just like I'm sure you know, the second you launch something, it's like, man, I don't, it sounded great to me. My kids are almost they probably feel obligated. I'm like, please tell me the truth. They probably feel obligated to say, Dad, it's awesome. Same with my wife, Bria. She probably thinks that, man, I can give them a little constructive criticism, but I can't say too much because it'll bust this little bubble. But when it went out and the reception of these books, and you can buy them on Amazon, or you can go to my website, parent-child-connect.com, and you'll see them on there. But and you're also buying really anywhere books are sold, you can find my books. But one thing that I started realizing as I read through the reviews and I started seeing, especially for Crow from the Shadow, I started seeing the impact of parents actually talking to their children and things that their children are saying back to them. It was mind-blowing. And really the most, to answer your question directly, the most, I guess, heartfelt moment was one of my friends back home, which happens to have, the cousin of the guy I was talking about earlier, sends me a video of her son reading a book. And her son happens to look just like my buddy growing up. He's reading a book with his mom, and she's talking about, you understand what that means, about Crow from the Shadow, and what does that mean to you? He's like, well, I can't let anybody tell me I can't do what I want to do. And it was a mind-blowing moment for me, because it's like, man, that's a full circle moment. Now she's sitting down using my book to mentor and guide this young man who I've heard also people call him, oh, he's bad, and saying things of that nature, which again, as we keep saying these things, just for anybody out there listening, your children you may not think it's anything, but I encourage people to stop calling their children bad or mischievous or any of those negative connotations, because what you're doing is you're speaking that into existence. And whether you believe in manifestation or not, they're hearing that. And the more they hear it, the more they take on that identity. And that's what this is all about. It's about learning how to identify with something. So I identify with as a Marine, just like you said, Rob. When you say United States Marine, I know I have to work out. I know I have to PT. There's no questions asked. But that's because people told me that. It wasn't because I grew up knowing that. So if somebody's telling their child that they're bad and they're mischievous or they'll never be anything, you may think that it's sort of, they're not listening. It's going in one ear, out the other, but they're listening. And if you continue to tell them that, they're going to take on an identity. And I know it's not our intention. Sorry, I know that wasn't an answer to your question, but that was just something I want to encourage parents with, because I know I've heard that many times, and I just want to tell you that you don't want to refine your child's or redetermine your child's identity inconsequently when you're just trying to describe to them their actions.
No, you're good, man. That's you have all the qualities, man, of a great leader. Everything you've been saying is spot on, and these are the things that I identify with, and I try to preach to my community and my public, especially when it comes to being a man and being a father. So you're a Marine, you're an author, you're a father, you're a husband. Like, what's next? What's next for Big Dog Lou? What's coming down the pipe?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, I'm in the process of publishing my first leadership book. It's called Lead Last. I literally just signed, and when I say just signed, I mean like yesterday, just signed with a publisher. I initially was going to self-publish, but the opportunity came through, so I'll be publishing with this company, and we'll be going forward. So Lead Last will be coming forward somewhere in the future, but really it's 21 counterintuitive principles for becoming an effective leader. The title of the book sounds a little bit weird, but there's a reason I did that. Number one, Lead last is saying that we, especially as officers, are told that we have to come in a room, you feel the room with your presence and all these kind of things. And it gives that perception that we have to be like King Leonidas on 300, where we got to stand out in the front. We got to do all this extra stuff. But in reality, being a leader is about being a servant first. So it's really about elevating everybody else. And that's what I try my best to do. And I always have I tell my guys straight up, anytime I'm in a platoon or in a section, whatever, I tell them they have open door for them to come and tell me when I'm jacked up, because I want them to know that I'm there. My sole purpose and job is to provide them resources so they can be great. I take on all the negative feedback because I'm a communications officer. So there's plenty of negative feedback, especially in the Marine Corps, about IT. So I take on all the negative feedback and I allow them to shine and get all the praise. And that's really my focus and my job. So really that book is to provide some insights for emerging leaders, and really is for those who, I would say, somewhere between beginner leader all the way through about that 12 to 15 year leader is where I'm targeting. So that way people can pick up a book. It's short, it's concise. It's about 130 pages. It's really easy to read, but it provides insights on how you can grow and better yourself. I divide it in 3 sections. The first is who are you leading, or excuse me, who are you? And that's just telling you that before you can lead anybody, you have to understand who you are and the things that you have to overcome. For me, it was insecurities, and for a lot of us, it is. Number 2, who are you leading? So once you know who you are, figure out who you're leading, because you can't get them the resources and lead them effectively if you don't even know who they are. You don't get to know them on a personal level. That's one thing I cannot stand, is that a so-called leader who's not going to take time to get to know the people he's leading. I just think that's not right. And then lastly, how are you leading? And why I'm asking that question is, how are you creating an environment, or what culture are you creating for the people that you lead to grow and thrive? So Lead Last is coming soon. Very excited about that. That's the next project on the horizon. Hopefully I'll finish that and get it out before I finish Command and Staff, which is the school I'm in right now.
That's amazing. You know what they say, Marines lead the way, right? So
That's
I
right.
guess you're leading full speed ahead. And Coach Rob will have to get a copy of that book when it comes out. I'm a little jelly though, man. All these people I speak to are authors, and I've been wanting to do a book, but between keynote speaking, podcasting, clothing design, like getting a book out there has been dang near impossible. But we're going to get there. The Coach Rob Book of Mindset will be coming. I'm going to put that in the universe now. So
Yep, got to do it.
Where can the community link up with you? Where are you found at?
Absolutely. So the best way to find me is on my website, parent-child-connect.com. I know it sounds weird. I did that intentionally, really, because the other one was taken. But if you go to parent-child-connect.com, you'll find all my social media. You'll find all the blogs. I have free resources on there that you can download and walk through with your children. Those resources are designed really for us as well, for adults. You'll find my link to my YouVersion for those who use the YouVersion Bible app. I am a content partner with YouVersion, and I provide Bible plans through that platform. You'll find a copy of my books. I have some in stock. Prefer that you go through Amazon and Barnes & Noble, but of course I have some in stock. If you want to order from me, I'll mail you a copy, no problem. And really, I have all those things available to you. And of course, you can contact me if you need something, you want something, got questions, concerns, want me to write an essay or article or something, just let me know. I shouldn't say essay. Article is probably a better way. Don't hit me up for schoolwork. I'm not going to do that. But that's the best way to reach me.
That's awesome. And as usual, guys, as you know, when this airs on YouTube, all this will be in the show notes. So you'll be able to connect with Lou. I always ask my guests this, the last question of the evening. What is your definition of turning pain into progress?
Absolutely. So my definition is taking the pain and rebranding it. One of my favorite quotes is, life is like a weight room. It's full of things that can either crush you or make you stronger. It all depends on your perspective. So take that pain that you have, change your perspective of what it did to you, and change that to what it did for you and what it's doing for you to grow and now live out your purpose for being on this earth. Take that pain and learn from it. Like Rafiki said in Lion King, you can run from it or learn from it. I encourage you to learn from it.
That's amazing. And guys, what an amazing conversation. I mean, this just goes to show you, my final thoughts is this: don't let anything or anyone hinder your life and what you can do and what you think is possible. Regardless of your situation, you can have the life that you want. You can make the life you want. You can manifest the life you want. It takes a little bit of faith in whatever you believe in, some grit, some hard work and dedication, and a refusal to never quit and never give up. Here we see a man that's a father, a Christian, a leader, a warrior, and he's putting, the definition of what men are and what men need to be. If you are interested, please go check out his books, especially children's books. That's an amazing, beautiful thing. Be on the lookout for his book on leadership that will be coming soon. And guys, it's been a wonderful conversation. Lou, thank you so much for being here today. And as I like to tell my guys to remember, always be fit for battle. Thank you.
You've just heard another battle-tested conversation. Now it's time to take action. If this episode lit a fire in you, subscribe on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, or YouTube so you never miss a moment that could change your life. Want to go deeper? Connect with Coach Rob at BattleFittedBrand.com for coaching, gear, and tools to help you turn your pain into progress. Remember, life will test you, but you're built to battle harder. Until next time, stay locked in, stay ready, and keep showing up.